Okay, let's begin painting our little scene. Now, I started by doing a pencil sketch, partly because I like drawing so much, but just to give me a kind of roadmap of where I was going to go with this piece as I started painting it. This is going to be a loose painting. It's intended to be no stress, and if it helps you, you can actually just think of this as an exercise, that you're not doing an actual painting, you're just trying something out. Or if you want to do a little painting, that's great too. Now, this is the finished prototype, and I'm just going to keep it handy to refer to as I paint. And of course, you'll have, in addition to this video, you'll have the PDF, the accompanying PDF, to help you out. So I'm going to start with the sky. The sky is the farthest thing from the viewer in this painting, and generally the further away something is, the closer to the top of the surface of your canvas or your paper or whatever it's going to be. There are, of course, exceptions to that, but generally speaking, that's pretty much the way it usually goes. Okay, so I'm going to start with some nice peach tucked down in the lower part of the sky, which happens to be where these two distant hills meet. And then around that, I'm going to have a little bit of cream just to blend that color away. So you saw, I think, that since I'm working wet paint against wet paint, we can get a smooth blending, which is what I'm aiming for at this point. Now I'm moving to a lighter blue, and instead of taking the peach hairbrush from a hair from my brush there all the way to the edge, I'm just kind of liking this crescent shape that's coming about. Now, you may rightly ask, why do we have this color in the sky when it's snowing? And the main reason we have the color in the sky, even though it's snowing, is because I want a color in the sky. But when I thought about it some more, I thought, you know, if we imagine that the storm or the weather that's bringing the snow in is coming from behind us, maybe it's moving pretty slowly and hasn't gotten to the other side of the sky here yet. So I think we're okay. Now this is wet and wet also. We're blending like so, but I'm gonna bring a few lines over like clouds. And maybe we take the peach a little more this way. Whoops. Okay, now that's something you do, something that'll happen when you're blending wet and wet. I moved that way and the brush ended up in the gray. And so when I put the brush back down over in the peach, it brought the gray with it. No biggie, because we were able to fix it. And I'm going to, I kind of like to have a little more of this lighter blue. Okay, maybe I've got, you know, it doesn't really matter because it's just what pleases you. It's not like, oh, this is a sunrise or sunset that I saw and I want to preserve as is. This is just a painting, kind of a from the imagination kind of thing. think we're good. So easy peasy so far. And okay, I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. I'll be back soon. Okay, let's proceed. Next we're going to do this far hill. Now, in the end, it really doesn't even show. But just for the heck of it, we'll put it in. Now, in my prototype, I did a pale green for this hill, but you may very well have seen landscape paintings where the far hills or mountains are kind of purplish. And that's what I'm going to do. Just like I said, for the fun of it. And you may also have noticed that I'm using this really nice flat brush. My surface here is 5x7 and this is a number 8 flat brush. Okay, so for this next hill, one thing we want to remember is that the further away something is, the lighter the colors are, the duller the colors are, and the narrower the value range is. That is, the narrower the range of darkness and lightness. So I'm going to make this far hill one of my pale greens. Aren't these colors pretty? We have sort of a, let's see, a secondary triad going here so far. Primary triad color scheme is red, yellow, and blue. Those are the primary colors on the color wheel. And then the next, well, then the colors between those colors, like purple being between red and blue, orange being between red and yellow, and green being between yellow and green, yellow and blue. Those are the secondary colors, and so what we have here is a secondary triad. Purple, green, and orange. But that's sort of neither here nor there, but maybe something of interest. So, here we come. Down the hill, a little darker color. And then, maybe I get darker still right in this, right where this front hill comes over the back one, or the middle one, I guess you'd say. Now, colors are blending, not real super, because I'm not really making an effort to do so. But as I come around the edge of this hill, I'm going to get brighter, a green or yellow. I mean a yellow or green. And we're going to bring that on down all the way to the bottom. Now I'm painting this one a little darker than what I did in the prototype, I think, because I want to be sure that you can see it on the video. That other one, awfully pale. Anyway, I need to get a little more paint out. And more green. Coming down to the bottom edge. Just sort of slip slap. Not trying to be, in fact I am trying to just kind of cross my strokes back and forth, and the smoother, the further back we go in the scene, the smoother the color's gonna look. Because of course at a distance, oops, we don't see much detail, if any. And gonna strengthen or put more of this light green on the top, and then I'll get out a little white and just put a little along that edge. To get that edge lighter. Okay. And one more thing, I'm going to get out a warm brown. And I'm going to add a little bit with a smaller brush. Smaller brush, where are you? Oh, here's a round one. We'll use this. I'm just gonna kind of dab it in, and then I'll get maybe my fan brush and just kind of rough that up. This is kind of too distinct back there. So the point of this is just to bring some more of the warmth from the peachy sky down into the ground here. All the trees in our little scene are conifers, but maybe there's some deciduous trees somewhere nearby, and they've started to drop their brown leaves, and the wind has blown them around, or maybe it's just patches of weed that are passed on now. So now I want to add some snow in the far, far background. And what I'm going to do first, excuse me, is get something to protect my surface a little bit. What I'm going to do now is spritz some white in the far background for snow. And I'm just going to keep this in the upper part of what we painted. Okay. All right. And now I need to let that dry for a sec. Be right back. Okay, now I'm going to paint this far line of trees at the top of this hill. And I'm going to use, for that, a small, I guess this might be a liner, I'm not sure, and just paint in the trunks. Now, the trunks, I'm going to have them standing right on the ridge of this hill. I'm going to have them varying in height. And I'm also going to have them leaning a little bit one way or another. In other words, not just a line of soldier trees. There we go, nothing to that. I think I'm going to put, it came a little bit, I want to preserve this hill line, so I'm just going to take the side of this liner, brush with some white, and get that back in there. Now you can tell that we're not doing precise painting at all. We're painting very loose, And in a suggestive style, we're suggesting our subject rather than saying, hey, look here, here's a perfectly beautiful pine tree. All right, now these are the most distant trees, so they're going to be the lightest and the bluest colors of our tree colors. And I'm using this old, actually I guess it's not this old, but it's a #1 round bristle brush, and the hairs don't stick together very well. And so when you paint by just pouncing down, you get a very fuzzy edge, kind of like a pine tree. So I was going to start with a lighter color green even, but it didn't show up at all against that gray of the sky. It was virtually the same value. So I'm going to start with this color. I'm not coming all the way down. I want the some of the sky to show through back there. And I don't remember whether I already said it, but I'm starting at the top of each tree and then working down, and of course the branches are wider the further down we come. Just use your imagination. Just want a nice group of trees that aren't all super even. Kind of drawing our attention in a way to the that beautiful peach in the sky. Okay. So that's all I drew in, but you know, I think it's probably unlikely that the group of trees ends right there without continuing off the board a little bit. And by the way, since I'm talking about the edge of the board, I just want to, oops, look at that. Okay, I got some of that darker color on that lighter hill color, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Now what I was trying to say and didn't actually manage to do it was you have to be careful about what you put really close to the edge of your painting, because if you frame it, and I don't know whether you're going to do that or not, but if you're going to frame it, the frame is going to cover a 1/4 inch of your piece all the way around. So you want to not have something that's really important to you right there in that on that border where it's going to get covered up by the frame. So I'm just, probably don't need to do this. Just adding a little more peach there. Now you can see that when you look at the two, it's a lot bigger area of peach in this one than in this one. That's just the way things work. Okay, so I spattered snow over the back, and I'm gonna wait. Well, actually, I can do a little bit. Hardly shows. But there we have some now on this hill. And the next thing we'll be doing is we'll paint these trees and put in the snow on the rest. So we've got a good start. Now I just want to point out that this ground looks really uneven, messy. And if you were painting, you might be tempted to come in and add another coat. You don't need to do that because There's going to be so much snow over this that that we won't even notice. We won't even notice. So that's that for getting started on this one, and I'll see you back. Oh wait, sorry. My intention was to make these trees the light color, and I didn't do that because it was not showing against that gray sky. But that doesn't mean that we can't add some light. Maybe on the sides there. Maybe where the sun's going to be, or the setting color's going to be hitting it a little bit. I mean the warmth of the setting sun in the sky will be lightening some parts of these trees, especially the bottoms. Okay, anyway, enough fussing. One can fuss forever, at least I can, but it's not necessary. So we will leave it at that, and we'll get back to it when this dries. Okay, bye.